right, happy Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. And I'm rolling in the DigiBug. On the road in the DigiBug. I like DigiByte. I like the little Beetle that I'm in, even though it's high maintenance. I love the DigiBug. DigiByte's not high maintenance that Beetle is. So, I don't know. I like smaller cars because I can maneuver. I like older cars because I don't care where I park. Get scratched up, whatever. You know, you go out and buy a new car, and the biggest thing you worry about is, oh my God, I can't park there. Oh, that's too close. Look at that piece of junk. And you end up parking so far away. And it's just kind of funny. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Better have your umbrella when you come out. But yeah, I'm past that. I just don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks at this point in my life. I guess that's what happens when you get older. You just, all the artificial stuff, you just don't care anymore. Just, whatever. Think what you want. I'm going to do what I do. That's just how I roll. Flip-flop shorts and a ripped-up shirt and a DigiBug. Good to go. Just don't care. I saw this morning that the inflation numbers came out, which we know they're all BS anyway, because they constantly get revised. All these numbers get revised. Because if you go back and look, the jobs numbers will say, oh, we had great this, great that, and then 2 months later, well, we're revising the 2 months ago, and it's a lot worse than it was then. But it's the story of the day, though. They want to create the narrative today, so we're going to throw out some kind of bogus numbers, knowing you're going to change it later, but nobody's paying attention later. We forget. And that's what they prey on, because they understand that we've got this short-term memory. And a lot of it's because of the system that they put us in, because we're just trying to keep our heads above water. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and barely that. I have no savings. I mean, it's just surviving. And so I can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, or 2 months ago, 2 years ago. So they can kind of get away with things that way. It's just, we can't, I don't know. That's why it's so important to maintain a record. And I always say, my daughter's going to be going away to college, and wife said, hey, we might not have to buy that many books. I'm like, yeah, right. She says, no, seriously, I mean, they're pretty much all digital. I mean, you gotta have a laptop, of course. And I thought, since I graduated with an English degree, my big thing was literature, reading, holding the book in your hand, having that tangible feel. I love those old books, you know, the smell of it. You don't have that with the digital stuff. The problem is with the book, or the good thing is with the book, man, what we got here? Get out the way, bro. All right. Oh, I know who that is. Anyway, the problem with the people watching my videos, I gotta be careful. So the problem with the not having a book and making everything digital is that it can be altered. It can be changed. Oh my. Yes. Excellent. I'll tell you a story about this one. A little Venmo action. Okay, next. The problem with the digital stuff is that it can be changed, it can be altered, and you never know what's truth anymore. It's hard to keep up with it. And you look back and you think, wait a minute, I thought it was this way, that whole Mandela effect where, I mean, I thought this happened, that happened, the Berenstain Bears. I mean, did Mandela die? I thought he died in prison. No, he didn't die in prison. So people remember a certain thing. They think, man, that was true. I remember that. And then you go back and look it up, and it's like Ed McMahon with, Publishers Clearinghouse, Ed McMahon, be a millionaire, bring the big check. Well, supposedly that didn't exist. I remember it on TV. And so we have this collective memory of certain things, and then you go and research it, and there's no documentation for it. And you think, I know that happened. So that's the Mandela effect. And that can happen when you're living in a digital world. You start to question yourself and say, wait a minute, I remember this happening. And then you go and try and find the evidence for it, it's gone. It's like it got scrubbed. But with a book, you got the book. They can alter the book and have the online version of it, and you don't know how accurate it is. How is it verified? Now, if it's on a blockchain, that's a whole different deal, because you can't alter the blockchain. It's immutable. It's a great thing about the blockchain. As we go into the digital space, it becomes very important. People are going to be vying for space on that blockchain. And that's why, just like with Bitcoin, you're going to see fees go up because more people want to put information on that blockchain because it's the one that's been around the longest. I make the argument that you'd be better off putting it on Litecoin because the fees are a lot cheaper. There's a lot more room on it, a lot more bandwidth, and it's actually never been stopped. I think Bitcoin twice they had to restart the chain. Litecoin's been running since day one, October 13th, 2011, non-stop. Pretty valuable network if you ask me. It's way undervalued, under a penny for a transaction, but that's the important thing about these blockchains is you're going to pick. Hey, you're going to put it on one that started yesterday and put all your information on it and say, it'll be safe. I'm going to put this book on it, you know, To Serve Man book, Twilight Zone. Let's put that on the blockchain. You're going to pick one that's been running for one day? Well, you don't know what's going to be running tomorrow. No, you're going to want to pay for a little bit more money possibly and put it on something like Bitcoin, Litecoin that you know is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to stop. Anyway, it's a price to everything. Price for data, price for space. And that's what we're about to see. But I like the physical hands on the book thing. You know, that's, I don't know, just something about it. Now, of course, that can be altered if you think you're going time traveling and you go back and then the future changes and physical items would probably change too if you made changes in the past. You know, killed Edgar Allan Poe. Well, we don't have the Raven anymore. Nevermore. No more books for Edgar. Total ramble fest here. Get back to what just came in the mail. I guess, no, let's back up a little bit further. My whole point, I guess, in this whole digital system is that everything's fake. Inflation, you know, what's that? Who knows? You just create a number and then revise it later. No big deal. And that's what they do because you're not paying attention and we don't have time to pay attention because we're paying attention to other things that matter in our individual lives rather than all the BS that they want to feed us that we know is not true. All right, enough of that. Speaking of digital, let's park this bad boy. No dogs in the car right now. Let's roll this down because we'll take it later. Roll them both down. Sorry, you have to wait on Westwood on a Wednesday for maybe, just maybe a little bit of wisdom. A little bit of wisdom. Westwood wisdom. All right, glasses off. This just came in the mail, this Venmo packet. Now, I've had Venmo for a while. I try to test out all these platforms, and that reminds me of Fold, and then we'll get to Venmo. Yesterday, Fold put out a tweet that said there's only one Bitcoin, and it had an image of the Earth, and it said 7.9 billion. That's how many people on the planet. And then it said, had a Bitcoin image, it said 21 million. So what they're saying is there's only one Bitcoin. It's only the standard. And the image, if you do the math, and I think that's what they said do the math. Well, I did the math. You do the math and you've got 7.9 billion people, 21 million Bitcoin. So you got to take the total pool of available Bitcoin. Well, total pool of theoretically available Bitcoin at the end of when it's all mined out. 21 million divided by 7.9 billion gives you 0.0026, like 58 Bitcoin for each person. So 0.0026 Bitcoin for each person on the planet Earth. You know, if it's all distributed equally and you've got 21 million that you're working with. Okay, so that ended up being, by today's prices, $72, $73 for each person in Bitcoin. And their argument was, or I guess their statement was, that that's how scarce it is. And I retweeted it and I put my own comment on there. I said, you know, currently that's $72 for each person, and it's going to cost you $25 to move it in fees. And that's the reality of it. The Bitcoin network right now, if you want to move if you want to make any transaction and get it to go through, it's $25. And so I said, when Litecoin on Fold, on the Fold app, because it just makes more sense. I mean, you've got the same thing. You do the math on Litecoin, you got 84 million divided by 8 billion is what I always do, and that gives you 0.01 Litecoin, 0.01, a 1/100th of a Litecoin per person. And guess what? You can transact it in under a penny. For under a penny. So you can actually use that stuff. You know, if you want to use your Bitcoin that you've got there, so it's $72, subtract 25 for a transaction. You know, subtract 25 again, pretty soon you got nothing. You got like 2 transactions and then it's gone and you got nothing to show for it. Not even a cup of coffee with inflation. but inflation's down to 4.9%, I think the number was. Well, that's heartening. You know, that makes me feel good. It's only, you know, just under 5%. So you're losing 5% a year. And they think that's probably good. Good at this point, is this spitting all over the place. It's too late. The inflation's already in the system. They printed trillions of dollars and dumped it into the economy as these banks crash. They're creating more money to back those banks. It's not going to end. And so they're going to have to, at some point, essentially go hyperinflation and just bail it all out again. I mean, in 2008, it only took under $800 billion with a B, under $1 trillion, to bail out the whole banking system. And Congress had to pass the act to do it. Now they just do it out of the Federal Reserve. And so what's it going to cost to bail it out now? We spent more money than that now on the few banks that have crashed, and it barely made a blip. You know, there's hardly any kind of panic out there. Imagine when things really start blowing up and the money they're going to have to create. And they'll create trillions to bail it out because they're going to have to. So, you know, it's going to devalue your money, devalue your work, devalue. If you hold those dollars, they're just devaluing them. Those Federal Reserve notes, they're just going to create more and more of them. And just like if you're holding gold, think of this. Holding gold and you think, man, this is the store of value, gold. And then they find mother loads of gold in the Grand Canyon, mother loads of gold in the Sierra Mountains, Nevada mountains. I mean, all over the place they start finding gold. They're finding gold right now because of all the rains in California. People are out panning for gold and finding it in lakes or in rivers, streams. I mean, that's kind of how plentiful gold is. It tells you something. Are they getting silver? Don't think so. It's a whole different process. So I think gold's pretty plentiful, and it's scary if you've got all your eggs in that basket, and let's say, oh my gosh, there's a big discovery of gold under the ocean, whatever it is, we've got technology to do it, or we find it in a bunch of mountains that have been locked up in a national park, and then all of a sudden we start extracting it, and people say, wow, there's a lot of gold here. What's that do to the gold that you're holding? It's going to make it worth less. I mean, it really is, because when there's more coming onto the market and it's more and more plentiful, if it's in streams and you can go out and pan for it for free, essentially, just your time, what's that do to the existing gold? So you got to think about that. I think about that kind of stuff. Silver, I'm not too worried about that. I think a lot of it's been mined out and it's just a byproduct now. You don't find it floating in rivers and streams. Now somebody will correct me, I'm sure, and say, well, technically you can if this happens and that happens. And yeah, anyway, I just think silver is much more rare. So I'd put my eggs in that basket. It's a better value. There's less downside risk. You know, if there's a bunch of silver found, what's silver going to go to $1? Well, I mean, if gold goes to $1, that's a heck of a lot harder drop than silver. So anyway, just my thought. Way undervalued asset in my thinking. Litecoin's the same way. It's kind of really that digital silver, way undervalued asset compared to Bitcoin. And what you found now is that the Litecoin transactions for the first time in the last couple of days have exceeded. There have been more Litecoin transactions on the network than Bitcoin transactions on the Bitcoin network. It's a pretty big deal. That's showing an actual use case. That's showing that Litecoin works. That Litecoin is the sound money for the digital age. Bitcoin cannot fulfill a use as day-to-day money for the common people, for even the elite. It's just, it doesn't do that. I mean, it's not built for that. We had, scaling wars and block wars because of this, and you had Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin, all these forks off of Bitcoin because of that argument that Bitcoin cannot scale up and handle the transactions. And the thinking was, oh, we'll just build a layer 2 on top of it. Well, then you're kind of not decentralized anymore. And you still got to pay to open a channel on the layer 2 to transact. And it's when you can do it on chain and it's verified by the blockchain for under a penny right now with Litecoin, who cares about Lightning Network? In the future, maybe, yeah, when you got all these transactions. But the thing is, until then, fine. Litecoin blocks fill up, price starts going up, it's $1 a transaction to send. Move to DigiByte. Move to Dogecoin. Dogecoin's not as fast as DigiByte, but Dogecoin's got a block, I think, every minute. fill that network up with transactions. I mean, go to DigiByte, 15-second blocks. So you're getting 10 blocks of transactions for every one Litecoin block. I mean, it's just that much faster. So, I mean, you got real-time payment systems in place right now at the blockchain layer. Why are we worried about, this is the end-all, be-all, it's going to fix everything? As I said before, the Procrustean bed that you have to fit into. No, let's have all kinds of different beds. Let's have big beds, little beds, king beds, California king beds. I mean, who cares? It's not one size fits all. And there's not one solution. It's just not the way things work. That's not the way humanity works. We innovate, we find new ways, make things more efficient. And that's why we have these multiple blockchains. So use them for what they're good for. Ordinals clog up the Bitcoin network. Fine, put ordinals on Litecoin. It's got much more bandwidth. It gets clogged up. Fine, put it on something else. It's just a no-brainer. I mean, it's like water, the path of least resistance. Human beings they're gonna find the path of least resistance. And if there's just one path, you're kind of hosed. Who wants one path and be locked in? See, this is the situation we're in now. So if you think there's one coin that's going to solve all problems, that's just like saying, hey, well, let's just use the Federal Reserve note. That'll solve everything. That's what they did with the Federal Reserve Act. We'll fix all the banking problems. Just centralize it all. We'll just make it just this. And then you got people controlling that and making decisions, and it's like, hey, it's just the Catholic Church. This is the only way to heaven. Martin Luther says, F you! Then, you got Protestantism, protesting the church. Then you got all kinds of offshoots on that. Because ultimately, it's not about the church philosophy. It's about the individual connecting to God directly. Not going and, using a middleman or a middle person or whatever gets in the way at this point. Nothing should get in the way. Between you and your creator, the source. Not all this dogmatic crap. That's just my opinion. Anyway, talking about Venmo, I got in the mail today. This one's for my wife. My daughter got it the other day. And I've used Venmo for a while. I got on this track because of the fold thing, the fold tweet. No, Venmo, it's a payment platform. A lot of the younger people use it. And I say younger people, I'm 50. Everybody's under 30. They like to use Venmo. It's very convenient. You got an app on your phone. If you've got a bank account, you can fund it with your bank account. But if you don't have a bank account, you can get a direct deposit into Venmo. So if you work somewhere and you don't want to open a bank, Venmo is still a bank. It's tied to a traditional bank. It's just they make it to where you can open it up on the app and get a routing number and give it to your employer, and the employer can direct deposit it right onto your Venmo app. So at that point, places that take Venmo, you can scan, but you also have a debit card that goes with it. And so the money that's on there, you can pay with the traditional Visa debit card. It might be MasterCard, I don't know. Everywhere you go. But now you have, I shouldn't say now, months and months ago, you had the ability on Venmo. The convenient thing about Venmo is if you go to dinner, let's say, or if you owe somebody some money, and you go to dinner and it's like $100, and the guy says, oh yeah, I'll pick it up for all of us. Just Venmo me what you owe me out of it. And so they'll pay for all of it there. And then like, okay, I owe them $30. I had a couple drinks. And so you just Venmo them. You say, okay, $30 on the Venmo platform, goes boom to their wallet. Easy, quick, in real time. And they can take it out, put it in their bank. They can spend it, whatever they want to do. Well, months back, you're able to buy crypto on Venmo. And notice it's always certain cryptos, and Litecoin is one of them, because if you're a big company, you're not going to want to go with some fly-by-night, invented out of nothing crypto. No, you want something that's been around for a long time. It's definitely not a security that actually works. And so Litecoin's always on these big platforms. These businesses know what they're doing. Okay? They're not putting garbage chains on there. They're putting Litecoin on there for a reason. Can't argue with me on that. So you can buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum on Venmo. And the same goes for PayPal, the company that owns Venmo, those four. And you could buy them, you could sell them on the platform, but you couldn't withdraw them or use them as payment. Well, the Venmo said that this month, May, you're going to be able to withdraw them and use them as payment and send it to other people. So you go to dinner, $100, I owe them $30. I can send them, hey, do you want, USD or whatever, Fed notes, on the digital screen, to go into your balance, $30, or do you want $30 in Litecoin? Oh, send me the Litecoin. And so you can take the Litecoin at that point. You can send it. And they can withdraw it and put it in their own wallet. See, I do that with PayPal. I'll go out and buy Litecoin and then immediately take it off. If you buy it with your debit card, bank debit card, you can buy the Litecoin and immediately take it off. I mean, that's the great thing. Or with PayPal, and that's what's coming for Venmo, or with PayPal right now, if you want to pay for something, say you buy something online, you have the option to pay with Litecoin. It'll automatically sell it for you and use those funds to pay for whatever item you want to pay for. So it's fully integrated in PayPal. It's going to be fully integrated in Venmo, and it's bigger for Venmo because so many of the younger generation, so many people in the younger generation use it. And that's my point. My daughter, she wants a Venmo card, got her a Venmo debit card. My wife, she's always using my Venmo card. So I'm like, just get your own. And so she's got hers right here. And so they'll all have it, and it makes it very convenient. Hey, Dad, I need money. Hon, I need money. And I can send them now Litecoin if I want to. And say, here, use this. Or I can send them, dollars, whatever it is. It gives me the flexibility in that system, that ecosystem, to use whatever I want. And the key is, Litecoin's always part of that, and it is part of that. So it's a very liquid coin. So that's why I talk about it so much, because it's going to work in the new digital age. It is sound money for the digital age. It's already hooked up with the bridge systems from the old system to the new system. It'd be great to send it peer-to-peer to where, somebody takes out their QR code and I send it to them, and that's what I do. But this bridges the gap. And so these are tools to where you can actually use that crypto if you need to. Some cryptos, it's like, oh, you should invest in this, or you should put your money in this. And it's like, okay, well, how do I get out of it? You can't. You look at the fees on some of it, it becomes ridiculous. Say you'd bought, and I'm not knocking PAYCHECK, but say you bought some PAYCHECK. That's the hot thing. And you bought $50 worth. Well, the transaction fee just to move it on the Ethereum blockchain is like, last time I looked a couple days ago, like $18. I mean, so that $50 just became $32. So PAYCHECK's got to go up in value, another $18 out of that 50 to make it break even. So you got to look at the network fees. And that's what's so important about Litecoin. Why I say it's sound money for the digital age. The network fees are so minimal to move it around. And that's why you saw some exchanges like Binance the other day say, hey, we're stopping Bitcoin transactions. We're not going to allow you to withdraw it, because the fees got so much. It's like, okay, we got to really reevaluate how we're doing this. We don't want to get robbed on all these fees, moving Bitcoin. Because every transaction was $25 to move it. I mean, doesn't make any sense. You got $10 in Bitcoin, you can't move it, because you need $15 more in Bitcoin to move it and break even. So you have zero. The network punishes you. So think about those things. That's why it's important. Litecoin is important. I've been telling you this forever. This is the reason why. You can call it whatever you want, because, the number doesn't go up, though. The number doesn't go up. At some point, you're going to be locked into these other coins, not be able to use it unless you got a lot of money baked into it, as the fee structure will be too much. It'll become unusable to make transactions with. So if you want to make transactions on a daily basis, Litecoin's your answer. At some point, DigiByte will be, but DigiByte's not on Venmo. DigiByte's not on PayPal. If it were, I'd be using that. But it's not. And it will be at some point on platforms, but it's a little bit later. It didn't start until 2014. Litecoin was 2011. So, it's got to build itself out more into the network. I love DigiByte. It's a great coin. I started the video out saying I'm in the DigiBug. That's what I'm in. It's just got to realize, where things are right now. For under a penny, though, if you're looking longer term, it's a no-brainer to me. Absolute no-brainer. I've used it, and it's so fast and ridiculous. It's just ridiculously fast. And plus the things that are being built on it, Digi Assets and DigiID. And it's just I really like it. Anyway, but Litecoin right now to me is the sound money for this digital age. All right. I've rambled enough. Today's Wednesday, so it's not happy hour time yet. Man, probably go out and mow today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Just depends on what I got going on. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Trust yourselves. That's what you do. Don't let any middleman get in the way. Don't let a vampire steal your energy. There's too many of them out there, and that's all they're out there to do. They want to rug pull you. They want to steal your energy. Put it into something they can't rug pull. Have it in your own possession. Be able to use it. That's more than anything. It's like, hey, you can have something in your possession. It's like a 100-ounce gold bar. Put all your investment and wealth into a 100-ounce gold bar. Oh, that's a lot of money. I don't even know. Something ridiculous, but let's be ridiculous. 100-ounce gold bar. Oh, yeah, I got 100 ounces of gold, baby. How are you going to move that? And when I say move that, I say that figuratively. How are you going to sell that? How are you going to pay with that? You got to break that down. Unless you're buying an island, you're not going to be able to use that. You can't use that on a daily basis. It's unusable. I mean, so think about the investments that you have. You might have something like that, but unless you're a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, a 100-ounce gold bar doesn't make sense. Even a 1-ounce gold coin might not make sense when you got to make daily transactions. Wouldn't it be better to have like small denominations of silver if things collapse? Or for right now, 5, 10s, and 20s dollar bills, while that cash still works? And then have small denominations of silver coins, you know, when that cash doesn't work anymore, and then have cryptocurrency that actually you can use very small denominations and not pay a lot to transact. I mean, why would you lock it all up in something that at some point kind of becomes unusable? So anyway, some things to think about. All right, love you all. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Hope you got a little bit of wisdom, Westwood wisdom on a Wednesday. All right, trust yourselves. That is the key to all of this. Have a wonderful day. Love you all.